Hello, I'm Lloyd Moyer. A couple of months ago, I got a commission to make a large coffee table tray. So I had this piece of maple that I roughed out for it. Is actually the top of another piece, and it's about 18 inches in diameter, which is about what I want it to be. So it's been sitting and drying, and tonight I'm going to finish it off. Um, so that's what you're going to watch me do. See how well I do. Thanks for watching. So where I'm going to start today is I want to I want to flatten this off and even it out, take all the eccentricity out, and then I'm going to put a recess into this, which is this is the inside of the tray, the top side of the tray. I'll put a recess in there so I can turn it around in my chuck, and then turn it around and do the bottom side. I'm planning to do this so that it sits on three small feet on the outside rim, so that it never wobbles. So, let's see how we do. This is just my half-inch bowl gouge that I'm going to start with. Taking a more of the unevenness out of this than I really need to at this stage, simply to get some weight off. I'm actually going to come around to the outside too at some point, and I'll even out the outer part. Now I'm just using my little dovetail scraper to give myself um, a little dovetail in the recess. You can also do this with a skew chisel. Works great for this. All right, back to it again. Somewhere in that neighborhood, I'll be fine. You don't need a whole lot of depth to grip. These jaws are pretty good on their dovetails. while I'm at it here, I'm just going to switch back to my gouge. While I'm at it here on this side, I'm going to even out the outside rim also. This doesn't look like it's a lot out around, and it's not. But this small amount of weight, 10 inches out from the middle, 9 inches out from the middle, still throws a lot of weight around. And I don't have a lot of weight on my lathe is very heavy, but I don't have a lot of weight on it stabilizing it. So it'll shake around a little bit. All right. Now the way I'm going to do this, the way I'm planning to do this is to leave this recess as part of the bowl design, or leave a recess as part of the bowl design. I'll take this down because I want the lip out here to be actually this lip right here. I want that to be the high point that the tray is going to rest on, and it's going to have again it's going to be I'm going to make it I think I'm going to make it a ridge that I can then sand down and leave the little feet on. So the little feet will be right inside here. That's the plan anyway. All right, I'm speeding up to about 600 now. The hard part of doing something this big as a tray is getting it flat. That's going to be the challenge. Now, granted, I don't want it to be perfectly flat. I want it flat on the inside, but the outside doesn't need to be perfectly flat. Long straight cuts take a long time, sorry. Maybe I can speed this up a little bit. I'm going to try and do some of this with a skewed scraper. Much easier to do a flat with a scraper than it is with a gouge. So also by tilting lowering the tool handle and turning the skew ever so slightly, the scraper ever so slightly, I can get a shear cut. Just have to be careful to make the cut with the bottom half of the tool only, or else it'll catch and smack down, which is no fun. It's not usually a catastrophic catch when that happens, but it's scary. I don't recommend it. Now, if you can hear the vibration that I'm getting, there's a little bit of a knot right here that's just vibrating. That's all, which is not a big deal. So what I'm actually doing here is, what I'm thinking anyway, is I'm going to have it flat right along here, and then it's going to angle very slightly out to the rim here. Rather than making it a full bowl, a reverse bowl. Now the reason I'm getting vibration here is because I'm pretty far out from the support of the faceplate or the chuck. Okay, I'm getting some tear out here. Also low. That's just how I want it, I think. That should be, I hope that's deep enough. I think that should be deep enough. Taking very light cuts here to try and get a good surface. So I just have my, this is my parting tool, my unhandled parting tool here that I'm just going to use as a flat. So I can see that I'm not flat. I'm a little high in the center here. This doesn't actually need to be perfect because it's not going to be sitting on the flat, but I still want it to be right. That is pretty good. Now I just have to take this side a little bead down. I realize this is it's a relatively large piece that I'm doing very gently and very small things. Um, that is just the nature of the beast in this situation, though. So I just want that to be a clean line. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't. There's some um, chip out right there, but I'm not going to worry about that because most of this is going to get taken away. Okay. Just going to round off this corner very gently. And then we're good to sand. This is really supposed to be a straight-sided tray. I think I'm probably going to leave a little lip on the top side so that when you go to pick the tray up, you have something to grab. Yep, that's good. That's all. Nice and simple. Starting with 120. Okay. While we're looking at the this face of this. Thought maybe I would lay out the feet. So I'm going to have 1 foot. You want to have thirds, right? So I'm going to have 1 foot sort of at the edge of this, sort of in the middle of this stripe here, right? So we're going to want to have one there. Now you should be able to do, as I remember it, is if I take this and I set it to the diameter, or pretty close to the diameter, what I should be able to do is go around this circle, right? So you go from here to here and here to there, and that's another one, right? So if I mark that, this is easier when it's laying flat, but it's okay. Then go from here, again, to there. That's my third one. And then this should be at least close to, from here to there. It's not exact, but it's close. So I'm going to have a foot here. We'll have a foot here. And we'll have a foot here. And when I'm all done, I'll go in and I'm probably just going to use my sander and just sand this down and leave little ridges right at the top there. Now, same thing again over here. I have to first worry about getting it flat and then, getting it even, and then I'll worry about flattening it. I am, however, going to put in a depth hole. Start with my bowl gouge. The bowl gouge is going to take out the bulk of the material. And then the scraper will do the detail work. With larger pieces like this, you know, there's a lot of monotony. Lots of cuts, long cuts. Trying to get them right, you know. Not a lot of speed. Almost down to the bottom, not quite. not getting a real smooth cut either. I'm going to try my curved scraper here for a minute. You can see these ripples here. That's from the wood moving, bending as it comes into contact with the tool. Some of this is going to have to get done with sanding, I think. And I'm going to try and do some of this outside rim with my bowl gouge. See if having a fresh sharpen helps. Doesn't hurt. See if I can get the corner. I'm getting there. This is a very slow process, to be sure. I still have room in the outside here. I don't have room on the inside. But I'm also pretty sure I am not flat. As I get out to the edge here, I'm not flat. Beating this cut up. Not getting a nice cut. But I don't know what else to do about it. Let's try a different scraper. A little smaller edge. So the moral of this story is that, somebody looks at this piece when I'm done with it, and they'll think it was very simple because it's just a big flat tray. But you'll know and I'll know that it's a lot of things, and simple ain't one of them. It may be a simple design, but it is not a simple process. Between, basically, I think of turning a flat surface is much like drawing a straight line. Freehand, which is not an easy thing to do. Or drawing a circle freehand. That was a little catch. Damn it. Beat the crap out of that. What I'm doing here is taking a shear cut to try and clean up some of that awful tear out. So, a good amount of it is going to end up just being done with sanding. So yeah, this is not as easy or as simple as it looks. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. And when the piece is smaller, it's easier. And it would also be better if I had a larger, if I was holding it in a larger chuck, because I would have support further out. My support ends about right here. So I'm a ways out. Actually, kind of like this little lip on here. Might be a pain in the butt to leave it there, though. Getting a shear cut with the gouge gives me these lines, but these lines are a heck of a lot easier to get out with sanding than the tear out. It hasn't completely gotten rid of the tear out, but it's gotten close. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. And I am going to leave this little lip in here. The rest is up to sanding. All right, that's sanded up to 320. Now I'm going to put finish on the inside, and then I will do the back. This ended up being thinner in the recess than I would like. I should have known. I don't do recesses very often because they take up room on the inside, right? Like I want this to be deeper, but I can't because I got a hole in the back. but it's too big to do a jam chuck and take a foot off of it. I just don't know how, didn't know how I was going to do that. So this is how I did it. But you see that end grain tear out came up very nicely because I did the shear cut with the gouge. I think I'm going to do this right here on the lathe bed. Not quite as thin as I thought it was, so that's good. I was afraid that you were going to be able to see through the see through it. I'm just going to use my lathe as a clamp. So for starters, here's my So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna mark where I want this foot to be. That one there, and this one's gonna be about here. New disc. So you see these little guys. You can actually shape them a little bit with sandpaper. I don't mean shape. I mean really what I'm trying to do is dull them. So I don't want them to have sharp edges that are really obvious. I want them to look like they're just bumps in the wood. Like that. So that way, if this ever warps a little bit, it's still going to sit on these 3 feet. It's never going to be uneven. If you ever get a commission, you're doing commission work, you always want it to be your best work, but pay special attention when you're doing a commission because that person came to you special for something that they've had in their head. And they want you to bring it to life. And that's really, that's something kind of special to me. You know, that's they're coming to you as an artist and saying, I'm not an artist, but I have this idea and I want you to bring it to life. And that's something special they're asking you to do. So my commissions, I pay a bit of reverence to, I must say. This commission happens to be for my wife, so it's even more important, because she will not be afraid to tell me if I get it wrong. But she's the one I want to impress, so, she has the impeccable taste, not just in men. All right, now I'm going to go see if I can find a place to put this down and show you how it looks. There we are, my friends, my most important commission. Now again, notice we have the recess and the 3 little feet, but because it's on 3 little feet, it's always going to sit level. Thanks for watching. Feel free to ask me any questions. Leave me a comment, leave me a like. I love seeing them. Thank you.